And for those of you who watch my channel, you know that I went against one of the most chaddest, strongest people on YouTube, Academic Agent. You see, Academic Agent is a British lad, and he believes that when he votes, he exercises force. And through the Labour government that represents him and his sovereignty, the will of his people is going to be made manifest and dominate the internet. Unfortunately for him, there is a nation, there is the empire, the United States, the free bastion of the world, that has to remind the little island that, no, look, you can oppress your people if you want, but you cannot oppress the free world, because freedom is like a burning star that's going to scorch your tyranny out of the internet. And this is probably what's going to happen. God, I love teasing that man. Academic Agent. He lives rent-free in my head and just gives me dopamine, because now evil has a face. Whenever I see bad things happening to AFCOM, I think that bad things are happening to Academic Agent, and it just gives me so much pleasure. You know, I'm starting to think that, okay, right-wingers, fine, you win. You can ban pornography. I have found a different pleasure. But anyway, right, for those of you who haven't watched, his argument supporting AFCOM, which is one of the most retarded pieces of legislation that has come in 2025, a complete power grab, for the reason that it's supposed to protect kids from seeing naughty stuff online, except naughty stuff includes conversations about immigration, it includes hate speech, it includes updating your NVIDIA drivers, it includes navigating on Wikipedia, and apparently kids can just use a picture of a video game character to bypass all of that, right? So, again, the most retarded piece of legislation that has ever been created, massive overreach, and Academic Agent supports it despite the fact that half his channel is shadow banned. So, there we go. But his argument is that, look, 4chan and Kiwi Farms, for example, these are websites that, despite the fact they have their infrastructure in the United States, despite the fact that their servers are in the United States, when a British person accesses them, it's not like he's getting teleported into the United States. No, like Kiwi Farms comes into his bedroom. And because it's in his bedroom, then it's under his majesty and should be regulated, right? So, apparently, Donald Trump disagrees. Apparently, Donald Trump thinks that certain British people should stop being silly and not think that when you're in your British bedroom, you're downloading America into Britain. Okay? Like, no, 4chan is an American tech company. You're not downloading it into Britain, right? So, America manages to maintain sovereignty when it comes to its own tech companies. If you don't like it, you can block them. Okay? What you're doing is called extortion. We have a word for that. The fact that big companies love this system because they can pay for the extortion while their competition can't is another thing. Now, the problem that's happening here is that Europe and Britain is incapable of having its own tech companies that compete with the American ones. Why? Because they embrace safetyism. Like, they absolutely love and adore censorship, right? Like, they worship control. They want a million type of rules that their own companies have to follow. And so when you do have, like, a startup British company like Bishop, well, it simply cannot exist under the regulation. So it's going to flee to the United States, right? So you're in a situation where the European Union that loves to swing its big fat cock around and be like, oh, we're the center of the universe, they don't have tech companies. So they use the American ones, right? And because of that, they're upset that they can't tax the American companies. Because they're in America. So what they do instead is they put fines, right? Like, let's create fines. Let's create a level of bureaucracy that's almost impossible to navigate. And eventually you're going to break some laws, and then we get to fine you, and that's your taxes. And of course, you're going to use censorship to keep us in power, right? An Academic Agent is going to justify that censorship to keep Labour in power. We're going to pretend it's about the kids, of course, and, you know, anime and other shit. And apparently America goes like, wait, what? Like, why do we have to put up with that? No. So, the US President Donald Trump is saying that it's going to impose substantial additional tariffs and stop selling techs and chips to countries with digital rules he deems discriminatory. I want to point out, you know, hey, academic agent, how's your chip companies doing? Huh? Are they great? Are you guys able to create powerful chips in order to power your AI? Oh, that's right. Well, maybe you can buy from China then, right? Because I understand America bad. Okay, well, maybe if you don't like America, maybe China. You know, like there's always other options. Of course, like you could create your own, but well, you guys like to overregulate, don't you? The government. The government is to regulate. You know, by the way, speaking about people that are intoxicated with regulations, they always say, oh, so like you want absolute freedom. Oh, you want absolute freedom. Okay, let me ask you a different question. Is there anything that an individual does which maybe the government shouldn't be able to regulate? Like, is there any place, is there anything that a human being does in a society where the government shouldn't have a say? You know, it used to be the bedroom, but apparently the woke have stuffed their bedroom down my throat. But like, seriously, right? Like, is there a private life? Like, do you believe that maybe there are some things where, you know, the government should just allow people to do whatever? Like, just something small. I don't know. You know, when you go to a bar, maybe the government shouldn't regulate what you do there. Like something like that, huh? Probably not, right? Like, every single aspect of our lives should only happen because someone in the managerial class allows it to happen. Apparently, that's not what the Americans think on this particular issue. The Trump administration and some of its allies in the tech sector have launched repeated attacks on the EU's Digital Service Act, its flagship social media platform, calling it Orwellian, and accusing the bloc of censorship. The US government also claims that aspects of the Digital Service Act would impose costs on domestic companies. Yeah, he's basically saying, you guys just want to tax our companies. You know what? How about this? Have you heard this American saying, no taxation without representation? Like, are we represented in the EU? No, you're not taxing our companies. Go fuck yourselves. Apparently, the Reuters had reported on Monday, citing unnamed sources, that the US was considering sanctions in the form of visa restrictions against EU officials over the DSA, and that the US officials conducted internal meeting on topics last week that the US State Department declined to comment on the report. The Digital Service Act regulates online platforms like social media and e-commerce, as well as search engines. Those with more than 45 million users in the EU, including Facebook, Meta, Instagram, TikTok, have to follow strict rules. See, the problem is, like, everyone goes like, well, yeah, companies should follow rules, yeah. They already have rules. Like, have you tried publishing a YouTube video? Do you know, like, the compendium of rules that we need to follow? But hey, at least they're American rules, because it's an American company, right? Allegedly, it should operate on the free market. But okay, fine, you know, it is what it is. So now, right, like, the rules of the companies should be what Britain wants, what the European Union wants, what Australia wants. And so, like, you now have, like, a compendium over another compendium of rules, to the point where, you know, might as well just get academic agents to make my videos for me. Because at this point, it's like, well, where's the creativity? What's the point? You know, like, how can I have any independent thoughts and ideas if, like, there's a bureaucracy and red tape over things that you can and can't say? So yeah, like, this is basically Trump saying that he's going to punish the EU if they do this. Obviously, it's going to expand to Australia, to UK, and other countries, right, if they keep pressuring the concept of censoring the internet. Because at the end of the day, I think that the Americans want to be the only ones that censor the internet. And you know what? It kind of makes sense, because it's their fucking internet. You know, like, most of the companies that we use are from America. Again, it's not that Europe or Britain doesn't have smart people or doesn't have competent people, but do you know what they do when they appear? They go to America. Why? Because the taxes there are better, because the government doesn't loom over them nonstop. It's not like there's no regulations in America, but it's a lot more common sense than the nonsense that you have in the EU and Britain. And by the way, like, this is a good thing. Like, we should shame our countries. Like, you should shame them, because if you look at the GDP from the EU, it's going down while the US is going up. Why is this? Like, we're a rich continent. We're older than them. We should be at the same level. But the reason we're not is because of the overregulation. Milton Friedman wasn't an imbecile. Like, he knew what we was talking about, free markets and stuff. I'm not saying that the United States is a free market, but it's a lot more freer than the EU. Yeah, no, it's good. It's good, you know? Dominate them, Trump. Fucking dominate them. That's why you have power. When the European Union wants to have a say, maybe they should start having their own economy, their own army. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think, though, and as usual, I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.